Posted by you/throw_RAX note. Throwaway account because I don't want my boyfriend to find this. I, 28F, and my boyfriend, 30M, who we'll call Steve, have been together for 2 years and have been living together for 8 months. I was cleaning our apartment when I found a note in the back of a cabinet. Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he'd never clean back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and want to warn you about him. He will not clean. He will not listen. He will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault, he's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him, and I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia, fake name. I read the note and showed it to him to hear his response. He immediately ripped it up and told me not to listen to it, saying she was crazy and untrustworthy. I told him that the fact he hadn't found it in the 5 years since they broke up is a red flag to me because it means he's never cleaned back there, and he has been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He told me it wasn't a problem before the note and that this is just his ex continuing to manipulate and ruin his life, and I was letting it work. We continued to argue along the same lines, and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family, gives me gifts and flowers, and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong that the cleaning hadn't really been brought up before, but the note made me realize it had been happening less and less, and that we needed to have a full conversation. He texted me afterward, saying he's sorry that I felt like I had to leave, but that it's a jerk move for me to take a note over our 2-year relationship and to leave him and our pets alone. I don't know what to do or what to believe right now. I'm contemplating trying to find and reach out to Natalia. Her real name is pretty unique, so I think I could find her. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, that his past shouldn't affect our future. I feel like I could be the jerk because everything Steve has said about Natalia makes her sound manipulative and petty throughout their relationship, but I don't know what to trust. Edit. I realized I didn't clarify enough about the points, especially the cleaning. Thought I'd add it here. When we moved in together 8 months ago, the cleaning was 50-50. Since then, he's been doing things less and less, and I'd say it's now around 70-30, maybe 60-40 if he listens to me right away. It depends on the week. I have to remind him to do things like bring his plates to the sink or take out the trash, which I didn't have to do before. The dishes will pile up unless I do them, to the point where he's had leftover food mold on the plates. I'm not a confrontational person, so I was just asking him to fix it when it came up. The note made me reflect on it more and try to have an actual full conversation, and I will say I didn't feel listened to when I talked to him about it. I tried to use the note to start a conversation about cleaning, but he got so stuck on the fact that I was listening to his ex instead of him that he wouldn't hear what I think are valid concerns. He thinks I'm letting the note create confirmation bias, so no matter what he says, I'll think he's in the wrong. Also, I didn't leave him permanently. This all happened yesterday, and I only spent one night at a friend's because I didn't feel like our conversation was going anywhere last night, and he wouldn't let me sleep until I let it go. I'm going back today and wanted to get advice and feedback before I do. Edit. I appreciate all the comments with advice. I'm heading back to our place now. My plan is to first apologize for immediately bringing him the note without considering his feelings and to validate that it's hard to have an ex's message found. That being said, you're all right that I've been letting the cleaning issue slide. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to repeatedly ask him to clean. It was pointed out to me that he should have cleaned the shelves during his move from his ex's place. The fact that they haven't been touched in 5 years is making me take the note seriously. I don't want to throw away 2 years, so I am going to ask him to come up with clear cleaning expectations with me and designate chores. I will make it clear that cleaning is absolutely a deal breaker for me. It's his decision how he wants to respond. I'll try to update you all. Again, thank you so much for the advice. Update 1 day later. I followed your advice from the last post and tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with a note, he seemed to take that as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had come up with a list of specific instances of him not cleaning, as many of you suggested, and he said I was using lists just like his manipulative ex did. So yeah, the crazy ex thing you all said was a red flag was definitely true. When I realized the conversation wasn't going anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving. That's when I knew it was over and left immediately. 2 years down the drain, but I'm glad I had the wake-up call before it was too late. I'll let him cool off and then ask my brother to come with me to grab my things while Steve isn't there. He has a strict work schedule, so I think it'll work out. I'm planning on leaving a note, but probably a little longer with the advice not to show it to him. I'm leaving it in the exact same place, so if he doesn't learn his lesson about cleaning, it'll come back to haunt him. All he has to do is clean. The biggest surprise in all of this is that I didn't reach out to Natalia, she reached out to me. Apparently, he borrowed his friend's phone to call her, screaming that she's still ruining his life. The fact that she blocked him and he still had her number memorized just further confirms that he was the crazy ex, not her. Natalia found me on social media and wanted to make sure I was okay. She was especially concerned that he'd gaslight me like he tried to do with her. I thanked her for leaving me the note and saving me time. We scheduled coffee for Thursday afternoon. For now, my friend said I can stay with them until I find a new place. I have emergency savings and a decent job, so I'm in a privileged position when it comes to this messy breakup, and I'm just trying to feel grateful for that. Just posted my final update separately. Thank you all for everything. Final update separate post same day. As you can tell from my original post, I like to handle things right away. It was definitely a mistake to bring him the note immediately, but taking action this morning was not a mistake, as it allowed me to save my pets. First, I want to address the comment saying I broke up a 2-year relationship over a note and chores. No, I broke up a 2-year relationship because when I tried to come up with solutions to an unequal situation, his response was to yell and try to convince me that the only problem was me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after screaming at me. That is not okay, and no one should stay with a man who responds to conflict like that. The actual update, I wound up texting the post to Natalia last night, and she thought it was great. She, like some of you, asked me about the pets. For context, one of the things Steve and I initially connected on was our love for little creatures. It's why I thought he was such a great guy, because if he could take such intricate care of his lizard, I thought he could do the same with me. I was very wrong. He has one lizard he bought before me, and then we bought 2 frogs together. I also have a snake that I brought with me when I moved in. I was planning to wait until he cooled down to grab my things, the frogs, and the snake, thinking he would never hurt them, but Natalia changed my mind. She said he could get destructive when he's mad and was concerned about the safety of my little guys. I immediately realized I couldn't wait until later this week and reached out to schedule a meeting with the landlord for early this morning. I wound up FaceTiming with Natalia last night, and we had a long discussion. Natalia is a lawyer, and she told me that in our state, landlords are required to let me break the lease I signed in cases of domestic violence. She also explained that his yelling, gaslighting, and refusing to let me leave are all forms of abuse. And his constant messaging and control over what I wore and when? Yep, also signs of abuse. Anyway, this morning Natalia volunteered to come with me to talk to the landlord, along with my brother. As soon as the landlord heard the word lawyer, he was on top of it and said I could break the lease, though I would still have to pay for all of August, even though I'm leaving 3 days early. I felt like that was fair. He also messaged Steve to say the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance all day, so I could pack my things. Steve messaged back that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I got into the apartment, it was a mess. He had broken my dishes, which I had brought with me, and left the shards scattered on the ground. My clothes were ripped up and thrown around our room. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone but opened the tank doors for our frogs and my snake. Thankfully, the frogs were still in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. This made me the angriest, as she could have been injured by the broken plates. I feel so fortunate that she was just hiding in a closet corner, and I was able to safely pack her up in her enclosure again. All my things are packed, and I'm writing this as my brother drives me back to my friend's house right now. Natalia told me that she actually left 3 notes, one in the cabinet, one on the underside of the vacuum, and one in the crumb catcher of the toaster. While we were there, we checked to see if the notes were still there. The one on the vacuum was, but it looks like Steve had cleaned out the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. He never mentioned having already found a note in any of our conversations, so it caught me by surprise. Natalia and I left the vacuum note as is and replaced the one in the cabinet. I wasn't comfortable leaving my name on the new note, so my addition was a handout on healthy versus unhealthy relationships. Natalia said that if he didn't find the notes in those 5 years, especially after the move, he probably won't find them again. I'm inclined to agree, especially given that he did find one note but didn't even clean the rest of the house to check for more. Steve doesn't make sense to me, and seeing the state of the apartment really woke me up to the fact that I have no idea who he is. The Steve I thought I knew would never put animals in danger, but now I realize I never really knew him at all. To the people saying it's pathetic that I broke up my relationship because of chores and Reddit, I encourage you to reflect on the subtle ways that abuse starts. This Reddit thread woke me up to it and gave me the resources to get out safely before it got any worse. I also made an appointment with a therapist. I'm very lucky that my job provides good insurance, so I should be able to work through this relationship. I'm hoping to focus on boundaries and my people-pleasing habits so I never find myself in this situation again. To the people wishing that Natalia and I would get together, we had a good laugh about it. Natalia is engaged to a wonderful man who cleans, listens, and reflects. She mentioned there's a phenomenon where, after breaking up with an awful ex, a soulmate can quickly follow. I'm hoping that's true. Regardless, I do think I got a good friend out of this. This is my final update. I hope if you take anything from my experience, it's that abuse doesn't start right away. First, there's love bombing, gifts, and sweet words. Then, slowly, they test how much you'll tolerate. You should never have to put up with anything, especially moldy freaking plates.